Hey everyone, how's everyone doing today? My name is Gina and I am doing great. Who is ready for September's Mission Inspiration? I'm ready! So, Mission Inspiration is a Facebook group headed by Mike Deacon, and he gives us 8 steps that we need to make sure that we incorporate into our mixed media piece. We don't have to do them in order, we just have to make sure we do them all. He gives us some suggested colors and some suggested words just to inspire us. The whole point of this is just to give us inspiration. It's not a challenge, it's just to inspire us, which I am thankful for because sometimes I need it. Today I'm working on a watercolor paper. It's 140 pound. That's what I usually use for my mission inspiration. So I'm going ahead and starting with step 1, which is cover your page with paper fragments. So I decided I'm going to use matte medium, and I'm going to use some of the whole, the whole remnants from a hole punch to put down on the bottom third of the paper. So that satisfies step number 1. I am going to use a hairdryer to heat it, just because I don't like using a heat gun. I feel like a heat gun overheats matte medium and cracks it and stuff like that. So I just use a hairdryer. And then I just get it started to dry, and then I'm going to put it over to the side, and then I'm going to start working on my focal images. Well, I'm using my Simon Says stamp. It's called Beautiful Mermaid. This came in my card kit for the month of September, which I was not happy with. Not happy. I'm not going to say I was not happy with it, but I wasn't inspired to use it for cards. But I knew that I could use it for a mixed media project, and so that is what I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead and start making some colored paper for there's seaweed in there, seaweed stamps, and there's like fish and there's coral and stuff like that. And I wanted to use my alcohol inks. I have not used them that often, and I have actually never ever used them in the way I'm using them right now, which is on Yupo paper. I love this technique, y'all. Oh my goodness gracious. I could have done this all day. If Yupo paper was not so expensive, I would have done the whole pack, because it's just so much fun. You never know which you're gonna get, and it's different every time you do it. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting, as you can see, I'm putting the alcohol ink, and it's by Ranger, onto the paper, and then I've got some alcohol, and I've got a dropper, and I'm just dropping it and using a straw to blow it around. And so I'm just doing that method. And then I also have a sprayer that has alcohol in it, and I will spray the paper with the sprayer as well, just to see what effect that gives. Look at that. Isn't that so cool? Like, if I would have just left that alone and not blown it with the straw, I bet that would have turned out really cool, because this got a little bit too red because I wanted it more pinkish. So I'm trying to fix it a little bit there, but I mean, it ends up being beautiful anyway. I'm telling you, I love this technique. So then I take another part of the paper. I use 2 pieces of the paper and just, sop up that goodness right there. And now I'm going to just spray it after I put a little bit more ink on there and leave it alone. And oh my God, that was my favorite one. This one ends up being my favorite looking one. So my thought was, I'm going to use the green ones for the algae and the seaweed, and then I'm going to use the pink ones for the fish and for the coral that's going on down there. That's going to be part of the ocean scene that I'm going to have going on. Now on this paper, I sprayed it with the alcohol first, wondering if that would make a difference, and as you can see, it didn't. It didn't do anything different, really. So that solved that mystery for me. Scooby-Doo was like, hey, nothing on you, buddy. So then I do have some of the blending solution, and I thought, let me just see if that makes a big difference. And in my opinion, it might have made it a little bit different, but if you don't have it, don't spend the money on it. Just use the cheap alcohol, works just as good. So I'm going to put those to the side, and I'm going to let them dry completely because I'm going to end up stamping them. So now I'm going to go ahead and start working on what I'm going to be hand coloring. And so I've got the mermaid, and I've got like a turtle in a treasure chest, a few seahorses, and a few seashells. And I'm just using my VersaFine black ink on the over to the side that you can't see, but that's what I'm using to stamp this with. And then I will end up going over it with Versamark and using clear embossing powder over that as well, because I wanted to emboss it, because I'd like to do that when I'm coloring and I'm going to have to cut out things. That way I don't get too much over the line if I can't make it a close cut, if that makes any kind of sense whatsoever. So, and plus, like if you're watercoloring too, this helps a lot with the watercoloring for it to stay where you want to put it. So I guess it's just a habit, really. And I wanted it to kind of be a little glossy, because you know they are under the water. So yeah, so I wanted it to be a little glossy, and I wanted to kind of have a ridge so that I could stay in the lines pretty much. But yeah, when you're watercoloring, it helps. And of course I'm not coloring. I'm actually going to be using alcohol markers. Now I do have a set of Spectrum Noir that I normally use. However, Amanda bought some markers. They were on Amazon by Yupo, I believe is the name of it. They'll be down in the description, but she really loved them. They're very, very, very affordable. There they are, right there. And she was like, they work just as good as Copic. Not that we have very many Copics, but I had also heard, I believe Frugal Crafter Lindsay had also done a video on them, and she pretty much said that they were, you know, okay quality. They're pretty good. They're up there. They're fine. So I really like them a lot. I like them better than my Spectrum Noir. They do blend so much more better than the Spectrum Noirs. I will say that. The only downside, and like I said, these are not that expensive. I got 100. I got the 100 pack, and I believe it was like for $45, something like that. I don't know. But very reasonable, in my opinion, to get 100 markers for like 45 bucks, you know. So the only downside that I had to them is that a couple of them, especially when I tried to go into the flesh colors, like the pinkish colors, they were a little bit dried out. But now there is a little card that comes with them that says if you get a marker that's dry, or if you use it just a few times and it dries out, contact us and we will send you a new marker. So I thought that was, you know, pretty decent. So I'm just going to have to take the time and go through all 100 of them and see which ones that are dried, and you know, get replacements for them. So but they worked. I mean, I did end up using them, but if they had their full juices, it would have blended so much better, I know. But these do really blend very nicely. So I do recommend them if you're, you know, on a budget and you want something that's a little bit better blendable than the Spectrum Noirs, which I've always used the Spectrum Noirs when I did alcohol ink. But these are right up there with them. So I really enjoyed working with them today. So I'm just going to end up just coloring, you know, making them bright and vibrant. And that's another thing. When these completely dried, they're very vibrant, more so than the Spectrum Noirs. I don't know, the Spectrum Noirs seem to just, you know, soak into the paper a little bit, I guess. I don't know, but I use the same paper. Now this is my mixed media paper. It's 140 pound as well. And but my Spectrum Noirs, they just are not as vibrant as these. These ended up being very vibrant, because when I first started coloring, especially like these seahorses, because you know they're brown, and I was like, oh man, I bet they're gonna get lost. I bet they're not gonna really show up good. But you'll see, they're there. You can see them. So again, I'm just gonna end up coloring them with these markers. And I also bought some glitter markers by the same company, and they were again Very, very affordable. And I'm going to use those two to kind of give a little bit of shimmer. And I will also use some of my Wink Stella on it, because my whole thing is they're going to be in the water. I want them to be glistening. I want them to appear like they are in water, right? So, so that is what I ended up doing. So she's very bright, vibrant. She's going to have purple and pink hair, and she's going to have a bluish, you know, fin tail kind of deal. So she ends up being really, really pretty and really cute. And like I said, I really enjoyed, usually when I like color with the Spectrum Noirs, I get a little, you know, anxious. I get a little, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. This does not look good. I don't feel like this looks good. With these, I don't know, because they were blending so well. I'm telling you, they blend so well. I really enjoyed coloring with them. That's normally why I think I do color with watercolor more often than I do color with alcohol markers, is because they don't, because I was just using the wrong brand for me. I'm talking about myself here. Just the Spectrum Noirs just didn't blend as well as what I needed them to. So once again, I'm just putting the Wink Stella on there just to make them shimmery. So now I am going and using the seaweed stamps and the fish stamps and all that to stamp on the Yupo paper, and I did use StazOnic to do that. Now here I am masking off because I'm making the sand part of the ocean floor, and I'm using the distressed, like I forgot the name of it, but it would be down in the description. But it's like sticky and it gives texture. And then I put some sea salt down on the bottom because I really wanted it to have like a sandy looking texture. But the spray thing, man, it was just shooting a straight line, like a beeline, instead of it being more misty like I wanted it to. In the end, it worked out for me. And again, I'm using a hair dryer, not my heat gun, because again, it just seems to me when you use heat gun on stuff like that, it just makes it too, it just bubbles it up. There I'm trying to mask off the top part of that paper, and I can't, figure out how to do it. So I'm like, oh, just forget it. I'll just eyeball it. So I am using, on the bottom, I'm going to be using Antique Linen Distressed Ink, and I'm going to be using tea dye and Vintage Photo to go on the bottom there. And I first put down the Antique Linen, and I just used the stamp itself. And now I'm using the Vintage Photo. Now let me tell you what I'm using, y'all. I am using some makeup brushes, and I cannot for the life of me remember who I saw use these. It might have been on a Facebook group. I don't know, but whoever it was, thank you so much. Thank you so much for suggesting these. They're very soft. Now I've seen them at Walmart for you to, that you can buy, but I got these off of Amazon. I got 10 of them for like $6. And they're so soft and they blend. Look at that. They blend so much better than those foam things do. And the great thing is you can wipe them on like a baby wipe to clean them off, and then they're ready to go to a next color. So these are reusable over and over again. And I think I might, I don't think I need to buy another set, because like I said, I have 10. There's some really big ones, medium ones, and really, really, really tiny ones. So it's just, they're perfect. I love them. You see, and I'm just using the smaller one there to go along the bottom to, make the difference there, to make it look like, it is the bottom of the ocean there. And I sprayed it with some water just to give it a little bit of texture. And then I'm going on the bottom again with, I think, gathered twigs I put on the very bottom to make it even more sandy looking onto the bottom. But I loved the way that this ended up looking. It's so pretty. And now I'm taking some Nuvo Shimmery Mica something in the blue, and I spray it on there, as you can see, and it gets on the bottom. I didn't like that, so I had to wipe it off, which wiped off all of my work I just did, but that's okay. I can easily just go right back over it. Did this do much of anything? Not really. I mean, it's a cool, I just wanted to use it because I got it in my tonic kit for the month. And so I just wanted to use it, just see what it was all about. And I did. So that got solved. That got my intrigue down. But it did kind of give it some green colors down there, which kind of helps because that's, you know, where the algae is going to go. So again, I'm just having to build the color back up. But it's no big deal. Because, you know, the more layers you put on it, the better anyway. So, it's shimmery. It's nice. I like it. I mean, I'll use it on other things. So, yeah. I just love it. I love that 3D look. It's so cool. So now I'm just figuring out where I'm going to place everything. But before I do that, I need to put my backgrounds on. So I'm just using my normal stamps that I use, and I'm using the same colored inks. I'm using Salty Ocean, but on the bottom I did end up using sage, bundled sage, I think, because I wanted some green down there. Because of the algae, I'm putting the seaweed down there. And so now I'm just kind of getting a feel for where I want to put everything. And so at first I was going to use matte medium, but then I was like, no, I can't go over that because then I'll reactivate the distressed ink. And so then I just ended up using art glitter glue. So I'm continuing to place everything, and so far I've done steps 1, 2, and 3, and 4, which is step 1 was glue the page with pieces of paper fragments, 2, cover with thin washes of 2 colors, 3, add a focal image or 2, 4, glue washi tape, tissue, or paper strips. I figured the algae would be considered paper strips, at least in my head that's what they were. So that is what I ended up doing. Now the rest of the steps are add splat strips and dribbles, add handwritten journaling or phrase, doodle or scribble, and create a border of your choice. So those things I still have to do. So I've got these cute little, look at the little bubble stamps. Are they not adorable? Oh my gosh, I love that. I think that helped bring that all together. It's like bubble, bloop, 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 bloop. Love it. So to go ahead and finish this up, I am taking some Nouveau mousse. I'd never used this medium before, and it was so cool. I just used my finger and kind of put it down, like to set everything down like they're into the ground, you know. And then I used some glitter paste to put onto the seaweed there just to give it a little bit of shimmer. And now I'm using my distressed inks to markers to just put shadows down and kind of set everything more into the page so that it looks like it belongs there. So I'm using green, I believe it was Pilt Paint, and then I'm using no, this is Mermaid Lagoon actually, that I'm using up in the blue to just set everything. And then I just use water to activate it to make it look like shadows. It's an easy, quick little trick to make things look like they belong into the page. Just love it, love it, love it. So now I'm going to go ahead and finish up doing my rest of my steps. I'm going to go ahead and do a create a border of your choice by using the black soot and going around the edges with it to kind of frame it in. It helps make all those colors even more vibrant in my opinion. It helps set everything and make it pop. And then I'm going to use the splats, which I did not want to do this step. I didn't want to do it. I didn't feel it needed it, but you know, I wanted to use all the steps. So I just used gesso watered down to put splatters onto the page. And I doodle and scribble by putting highlights with my white gel pen over all the focal images. There it is. There I'm doing it. There I'm doing it. And then my handwritten journaling or phrase is friends are everywhere you go. So that's it. Done. Finite. Isn't it so cute? I love it. I love it. I hope you love it too. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you've not already subscribed. Thanks so much, y'all. Y'all be good to one another, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.